Hi, this is Paul Spica with Spica Real Estate, and you're watching our first-time home buyer video series. And this one is titled Inspections: What to Expect When You Inspect. In our last video, we talked about writing an offer and the security deposit. And so by this point, hopefully we have an accepted purchase agreement where everybody's agreed to the terms. And very likely in that purchase agreement, one of the contingencies that you've asked for is the ability to do inspections. In the West Michigan area, typically we allot for about 10 days from when the purchase agreement is fully executed. The buyer will have about 10 days to do their inspections. And that's a 10-day period where you can go into the property, scheduled of course, and do just about any type of inspection that you would like to do. We highly recommend that buyers hire a professional home inspector to do the inspections on the home. There are a few that we work with that do an absolutely fantastic job. Sometimes an inspector is a former builder, a licensed builder, contractor, and they have a very intimate working knowledge of structures and homes and what they should look like on the inside and kind of the guts of the property. Typically, an inspection in our area is going to run from about $300 to about $800, depending usually on the size of the property and exactly what you as the buyer choose to have the inspector do. Typically, radon and termite inspections are kind of considered optional items that you can do. Usually adds a few $100 to it, and we always recommend that you have those done. It's a good opportunity to just spend a few extra bucks to make sure that everything is in good shape. We look at an inspection as an insurance policy. Do you have to do it? No, you don't have to, but it's a good opportunity to get a really good look at the property and walk away with a better idea of what you're buying. It's a third-party, non-biased opinion of the home. Inspectors will look beyond the glitz and the glamour, the granite and the stainless and the hardwood floors. They'll look beyond those things and look at the guts of the home and the guts of the major systems. Keeping in mind that an inspector can only inspect what they can see. They can't damage anything, they can't pull anything apart, they can't poke holes in the wall. They will only inspect that which they can see. It's also important to remember that inspectors aren't perfect. Inspectors are people too. Inspectors can miss things, and things can break the next day without any evidence of it breaking the day the inspector's there. So things can happen, and the inspection is just increasing our odds that things are going to last, hopefully as long as the inspector says they're going to last. Typically an inspection is going to take about 2 to 4 hours, and it's their job to just look top to bottom, left to right, open doors, open drawers, and make sure that everything works as it's supposed to. It is also the inspector's job to tell you everything that is wrong with the property. And a word of caution here. As a buyer, it is sometimes common for a buyer to walk away from the inspections a little disappointed and maybe a little discouraged. This is very, very common because what you're getting at the end is a written or emailed report that says here's everything that is wrong with your property. Here's a laundry list of things that are wrong with the property. Sometimes they're major, sometimes they're minor, but if you have emotionally fallen in love with this home and you've now been given a list of everything that's wrong with the property, it can be sometimes a little discouraging. And so I encourage people to try to look very objectively at this list, and ultimately we review the report that the inspector gives us, and we determine which ones are a big deal and which items are not a big deal. Often asking yourself this question is helpful. Am I willing to purchase the home today knowing what I know now after reading the inspector's report? If there are 5 items on there, are they a big enough deal to where I'm not interested in buying the home anymore, period? Or I'm still interested in buying the home despite these things? And if the answer is yes, then maybe we can address some of them. Maybe there are ways that we can work through some of them. If that's the case, if you say, I do want to buy the home, but I really want these 1, 2, or 3 items taken care of, Maybe the buyer takes care of them after you own the property. Maybe we ask the seller to take care of them. It's possible that some of these repairs might be required based on the financing that you have. So there are a lot of reasons why we might need or want some of these repairs taken care of. Ultimately, if we ask the seller to make some of these repairs, we have to be very careful how we do it, because, and all of this is spelled out in your purchase agreement in the inspection contingency section. If we ask the seller to make repairs based on the purchase agreement that we use in West Michigan here, we are effectively reopening negotiations. And the seller would have the right to back out of the purchase agreement if we put in writing a request to repair something. So we need to ask ourselves, is this thing really important to us, important enough where we are willing to let the seller walk away if they choose not to cooperate with us? In a highly competitive situation, you need to be super, super careful what you ask the seller to do, because they might have a backup offer and they might just say, thanks but no thanks, we're going to go with this one. The inspection is often one of the very first contingencies that a buyer will work through on a specific property. Frequently, the second contingency that we're gonna work through is the appraisal, and we'll talk about that in our next video. This is Paul Spica with Spica Real Estate. Thanks again for watching.